mon Dieu! Lara?
Jean-Yves, my faithful friend.
I fear this is not a social visit.
Only if you want Von Croy gate-crashing the party.
Von Croy?
I think he was looking for this.
The Amulet of Horus. An almost legendary artifact. So, you have found and opened the tomb of Set. This doesn't bode well. Translating from the Hebrew, he who removes the amulet shall once more release the dark power of Set. And Set saith, I am the shadow across the sun. I am the bringer of plagues. My wrath will consume all lands and shall be ceaseless.
The power to summon the sun god Horus to revive the evil Set shall only be revealed to the bearer of the amulet within the temple of Semiket at Karnak.
The ceremony is complete as the armor of Horus summons the sun god. The armor of Horus. At the dig site in Alexandria, my men talk fearfully of this.
The armor must also be Von Croy's goal.
Only one so ignorant of the prophecies would dabble with such a prehistoric evil. Ah, yes. Releasing Set. But how could you have known, my dear?
Time to put things right and remove a thorn in my side in the process.
Well, there goes our poor ride, after everything we've been through. Hello and welcome everyone to Let's Play Tomb Raider 4 The Last Revelations. Zelgaris 115 speaking. Now, in case you pretty much just opened up the playlist and, you are confused where you should be, where you are right now, this is our first visit into the level Temple of Karnak, right? The first Karnak level. And by this point, the only key item you should worry about is the Amulet of Horus, but, well, you actually don't have to worry about it because it's something you automatically have when you first start the level. So, I hope the title card at the very beginning of this level was not particularly confusing to you. The reason I chose that format was that starting from now on, the next 3 levels, including this one, will be non-linear. What I mean by that is that this is a feature and, well, a big complication for us who are creating walkthroughs for Tomb Raider 4. You can basically travel between levels freely now as many times as you want, and since your number of visits per each level might differ from my own, I wanted to at least let you know how many items, skills and secrets you can get in the first visit. And then I also highlighted that there will be a second visit in which we'll get the remaining items, skills and, well, not secrets. There was a big zero if you noticed, because we're gonna get all during our first visit. Again, so the experience might differ for you, but I sort of decided that rather than prioritizing, efficiency of time, I'm gonna do my best to show you how many kills and items and supplies and secrets you can get as soon as possible. So this might be helpful for those of you who find themselves in a tight spot without ammunition or health packs, which honestly I can't really imagine in Tomb Raider 4, but let's say you do, then I think my walkthrough will be helpful. And at the same time, if you're gonna tackle things in different order and find yourself in different sorts of situations, I'm gonna put in a disclaimer at the beginning of each non-linear level video just to tell you where you should be right now. Anyway, please let me know via comments or give me some feedback if you find this confusing or useful, so I can adjust accordingly. Finally, let's move. So, Karnak levels are one of my most beautiful ones, and my most favorite ones because they're beautiful. And actually, you don't have to spend much time in the initial area. There is nothing here, just an absolutely gorgeous view. But first things first, what the hell? Von Croy is alive! I bet that it comes as a shock to no one. And he has this perfect Indiana Jones Nazi accent, just, you can clearly see the inspiration where it's coming from. So, the thing is, he holds a grudge against Lara, even though she most likely had no idea he survived, you know, with only his leg injured, hence he's using a walking cane. The question is, how did he get out of the globe thingy back in Angkor Wat in Cambodia? Probably because the iris, the artifact he recovered, that Lara was supposed to by winning the race, has some powers of teleportation, as we'll learn later in Tomb Raider 5. Ironically, Lara by this point, so also back during times of Tomb Raider 3, has it safely stored in her treasure vault in Tomb Raider 3, Lara's home, if you remember. If not, you know, feel free to play the game or access Lara's home or watch my video and you will see Iris there. It's just an interesting bit of detail. I love the fact that for Iris in Tomb Raider 4 they decided to use a pre-existing artifact. It gives it a bit more immersion. Now, first thing first, we encounter a new enemy. It might look like we've seen these guys before, but actually they're a bit different. Oh, close call. These guys are not as red as the scorpions in the Tomb of Seth and Burial Chambers. They have a couple of red bits and pieces on their body, but mostly they're all black. And this variety of scorpions is much more poisonous, as opposed to not poisonous at all as the red scorpions were in the previous few levels. Now, don't worry, the fact that you get stung by them does not guarantee a poison. There is only a small chance that you will get poisoned, or I was extremely lucky when I got hit during my trial runs, but at one point I intentionally tried to get poisoned by one of these guys, and it took 15 strikes before Lara got poisoned. It was just crazy like that. Oh, by the way, feel free to ignore the left or right archway, and maybe let me even explore, well, explain the area where we find ourselves in, the crossroads at the Temple of Karnak. So, we basically get to choose 3 directions over here, right? If you just want to get the level over with, go forward. If you're interested in secrets, go left. In either case, don't go right yet. You would just have to come back. You can also use the compass. It's very handy here to show you the different directions of the world. So west is to continue, south is for the secrets, and north will be to continue once you have a certain key item. Now let me just show you something about the compass. See, it's more or less pointing directly to the north, but not precisely. I think we need to tilt Lara more. What we are after is for the compass to be a bit transparent. There we go. So this is the absolute north you are facing. It's not a graphical glitch. This is an intentional design. When the dial on the compass is transparent, you can actually start using cheats in the PC version of the game. I know that, for example, for level skipping, you need to go to the load tablet over here and hold the keys H-E-L-P, spelling help, and then when you press the escape key, the loading screen for the next level should show up, as an example. Now, there are other cheats you can use in PC version of the game, if that's your thing. I'm not going to be using them here, but again, I just wanted you to be aware of, you know, what's going on when you see your compass behaving like this. An interesting bit of detail. And actually, I think in every level in Tomb Raider 4, the very starting position of Lara in each level is actually facing north directly. I think each time you open up your inventory screen, the compass should be transparent. This is just a theory. I'm gonna check it out in the next few levels if that's really the case, but I do believe so, genuinely. Okay, so I promised you that secret. Feel free to ignore the archway on the left and right, because those are dead ends. Instead, kind of intuitively, go to the middle one. And before we get to the actual first secret, there are a couple of goodies we can pick up on the roof area over here. So, this level is actually very short. It should take us less than half an hour. But due to the absolutely enormous amount of pickups, well, my notes for this level are actually quite huge. Tomb Raider 3 level sized, indeed. And that's it. And you can actually safely drop here, and the tunnel beneath us, this is actually where the middle archway leads, because the one over here is blocked by the rubble. The hole over here leads to the secret itself, right? So once we crawl through, I'm gonna show you something really cool, but listen to the chime. Always so satisfying. So, Scorpion, let's get rid of him. Interesting how we can't see the blood through Lara's semi-transparent head. The particle effects are only visible if they're not concealed by anything. Okay, so first things first, here we're gonna find a couple of breakable urns, just like in the burial chambers. Very neat. Let's take care of the 3 scorpions. And oh, one thing I didn't tell you yet about the poison. If you do get poisoned, I recommend to you to, you know, not heal yourself with a medpack right away, but linger and let the game do its thing, because the effects that the screen does when Lara is poisoned are absolutely amazing. the verticality and horizontality ratios keep dynamically changing, and it creates this really distorted look, like Lara is basically tripping on drugs. It is wonderful, and I'm kind of hoping we are gonna get poisoned one way or another in this game. Now, I'm not gonna do that intentionally, that'd be pathetic. Instead, we'll see if we'll manage to avoid poison in the game, and if not, if I'll get poisoned, I think I'll refrain from using a health pack straight away to show you how cool it is. Another thing, health packs are the only way to cure poison. They serve as an antidote, and I know I already said this, but you might have already noticed how when you move from level to level in Tomb Raider 4, Lara's health refills. So what I did is I got myself poisoned by that scorpion on 15th time I mentioned before, and I entered the next level whilst I was still poisoned, and my health refilled, but the poison was not cured. So moving in between levels does not serve as an antidote. You will start the next level with full health, but poisoned, so gradually depleting. Just an interesting bit of trivia. So health pack in that case might be a necessity, so if you find yourself poisoned without any health packs, you basically have a time limit to find the next one, or restart the game if you don't have a better save file. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Now, before we start breaking all the other vases, let me just admire the details, because... Oh, so the lighting doesn't work like that. Oh, that's a real shame. Okay, it's actually better without the binoculars, but let me linger here. Do you see the woman sitting on a throne with something golden on top of her head? Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I have a theory this is the sun goddess whose figurine we will be after in the next few levels, and the sun disk as well as 2 separate key items. So just like the winged scarab was displayed on the urns in burial chambers, the important key item to trigger the sand elevator to get us up to the surface, the sun goddess displayed over here, her power is something we'll be after in the form of 2 really beautiful key items. So be on the lookout for that. Okay. And I talked about breaking urns. Let's see if we can shoot through both of them at the same time. Yes. Oh, I think the only thing more satisfying than the crunchy sound you make when breaking vases, is when you break more of them, really. Oh, and by the way, on the other side you might notice these Greek-looking vases. Don't bother shooting them, they can't be broken. But I like the fact that there are some Greek elements here, because... especially in North Africa, Greek presence was strong during the later Egyptian Empire. So we are gonna see, especially in Alexandria, more and more Greek motifs intertwining with the Egyptian ones. And I think these vases over here are just a cool start for that kind of thing. Anyway, we found all the goodies, we killed all the scorpions, so we can get out of here. This was, again, entirely optional area, right? So if you just want to finish the level as soon as possible, ignore these 3 archways where we find ourselves in, even the middle one, and just go straight ahead to the area with the columns. Now, you know how I complained that Tomb Raider 4 is very cryptic? Thankfully, once you step through this bar over here, Lara will give you a hint. That's where you're supposed to go. So, of course, we're not going to do that. Instead, the pool over here holds 2 secrets. So let's dive in, let's light up a flare even, because we're going to find a whole box at the bottom. Worthy trade-off. And you might have already noticed a crack on the wall. Now, the reason why these are secrets even in such an apparent crack in the wall is this. How do we open this? You center Lara and you hold action key. Ta-da! This makes no sense if you're a seasoned Tomb Raider veteran. Like, this is against everything the previous games have taught you, but there you go. You have to keep up with the times, I guess. And up here is a pocket of air and a lovely secret. Now, you can't see much, but this is actually, again, a bundle of objects. So if you keep holding the action key, Lara will pick one up and then the other. So Uzi clips and what is normal crossbow bolts. How I know these are normal? It's because of the grey feather ends at their tail. So the grey color, or kind of brownish, it shows you that that's normal ammunition. In the next secret, we are actually going to find a different kind of arrows. First of all, let me, however, show you the iron bars over here. On the other side is a huge pool area with a statue sitting on a throne. That will be much significant later on. But first of all, another crack in the wall, less conspicuous this time around. And goodies, oh my god, we just have to have them all. We've been receiving a lot of wide shot ammunition, come to think of it. But even cooler than what is objectively worse shotgun ammunition are the crossbow bolts over here. See the ends of those feather tails of the bolts? They weren't grey, they were of different color. So let me bring up the inventory. This is the so-called poison ammunition. Now I can't tell if it's blue or green. I'd like to think green, that's a color I associate with poison more. But this is a particularly interesting type of ammunition, which when I fooled around with in my PS1 version trial runs of this game, when I was just sort of preparing myself for the challenges here, I didn't find any use for. And I'm hoping if I'll just spend more time testing this ammunition once we actually find the crossbow, I'm gonna find some really wicked use for it. I really hope so. Okay. Oh, and by the way, you have to be at the center of these things to open them and hold the action key. Even if Lara will tilt herself to the right, you can't start interacting with it. You have to position her to the center and let Lara do the tilting to the right. I don't know why, but it's just the way it is. And once she starts actually opening the door, you can let go of the action key. The animation will play out regardless of whether you're holding it or not. Okay, so that was a very eventful dip into the pool. Now let's go up where Lara was originally suggesting for us to go. And now we're gonna get a closer look at what it is we are after in the Temple of Karnak level. Kind of two central objects. No, it's not the sun goddess quite yet. It's a canopic jar at the altar over there. Behind these bars we see a very famous ancient Egyptian weapon called shotgun. It was devastating. Egyptian warriors used to ride chariots into battle, and each was armed with shotgun and a bandolier of shotgun shells. You can imagine how the enemies like Nubians were absolutely terrified. Yeah. Now, it was when they ran out of shotgun ammunition, leftovers of which we are finding across these Egyptian levels, that's when the decline of Egyptian Empire started and the Romans started taking over, especially the northern parts. Prove me wrong. Come on, prove me wrong. Okay, now that we opened both, because by now we know what the holes in the walls do, let's also not focus as much on the pedestals, but almost missed it. See how well it blends in with the textures? A small health pack. Very, very easy to miss. And there we go, another shotgun. If I'm not mistaken, this is the 4th shotgun we have found in the game so far. Wow, very generous indeed. Yeah, I really prefer to stay quiet during these beautiful sweeping shots to let the music play out. Also, cool thing if you notice, the entire time the camera angle was playing, the canopic jar at the lower right corner of the screen was being shown. It didn't go away. And yeah, unfortunately the developers didn't come up with a better name for it. It's just canopic jar number 1. But you can already see that it has a head of Horus, and that will help us to distinct one of the slots in which we can put it in. By the way, it's basically a key that opens the door over here. It's getting to the keyhole that's the challenge, right? Behind this door is actually entrance to the next level, so we'll find ourselves here again. Now, if we are back at the crossroads, we've came from over there, we've explored the secrets behind the archways, we went into the hall with columns, so the only thing left is what I'll refer to as a ceremony hall, but first the entrance into it. There are actually 2 ways we can enter, and before we'll start admiring the architecture, let's just take a look at it from up top. We can either enter from the left or from the right behind the sandy dunes, but on top you can already see some goodies, and in case you don't see them, I'm just gonna use this opportunity to use the binocs. I'm having too much fun. So, Uzi clips and... well, that looks a lot like shotgun shells, come to think of it. Now, we are not going to see it from here, but there is also a small health pack. There we go, on the ledge over here. Again, guys, 34 items for such a short level. Well, technically there are 39, as I... as the title cards try to explain, but we are going to get the other 5 in later accessible parts of the level. Okay, and now you can actually choose. You can drop into the right entrance over there or the left entrance over there, or, you know, to the ground and then enter each. You have so many options. You know what, let me just choose the right one over here, simply because it's less interesting. We can already enter, and another way to go about it is to use the corner over here or overcome the sandy dune right about here. Whoa, thank you, Lara. Or the corner over there. There are no pickups, anything like that, but I would prefer to enter via the left path over here, because that will take us to another scorpion. And in the very dark corner over there, you might have already noticed a couple of flares, right? So it's interesting how in Tomb Raider 4, and I really like this, they put flares in very dark areas in corners. It's like they want you to sacrifice 1 or 2 flares, so that later on you can get a whole bundle of them. I think that's kind of cool. And there we go. Wow. Before we start crossing to the other side and press the switch the cinematic sweep of the area has shown us, notice the crawl space over here. You got it? Good, because I certainly didn't notice it when I was doing my trial runs. This was the only secret I missed in Karnak, and, well, I can't blame myself. But there's the sound of the sweet secret chime, and we have actually 2 piles of Uzis here, and you might have already noticed how Uzi generous the level has been so far. There are actually 8 of these clips. But it's only 30 bullets per pickup. That is nothing for Uzis. They have them, but the ammo consumption is the same as in the older Tomb Raiders, so it was a strange decision. And actually, in one of the later levels, on particularly tough enemies, we are going to be using the Uzis finally, so the wait will be over soon. Okay. So now we pretty much have to get to the switch to open up the door behind us, right? And notice the ceremonial bowl, it's going to be important later on. Now, we can either monkey swing on the left or on the right. Beneath each of these monkey swings is a pit. Each of these pits contains a scorpion, right? So, you know, in case you're not interested in all the kills, this should have no significance for you whatsoever. But the pit on the other side, so from as you enter to the right side, has a small health pack. So I hope that at least got your attention in case you're not here for the kills. There it is, you can already see it. So that's it, scorpions taken care of, health pack collected. What else? Now you might think, okay, you can either swing across from left or right. That is true, but only if you swing across from this one, so to the right as you enter, will you trigger the spawn of another scorpion. If you monkey swing from the left, the scorpion will not appear. I don't know why this is the case, but it is. And this will be a kind of a pain point for me later on in Tomb Raider 4, because there are a lot of enemies with very unique spawn conditions you have to fulfill for them to even appear in the game. Otherwise, you might miss a kill. Now, if you don't care about that sort of thing, not fulfilling these conditions might actually be a reward, because you're going to avoid an enemy. That's objectively a good thing, right? But a pain for me. Nevertheless, I will always let you know, and I have already discovered a couple of unique spawn conditions in the next few levels, but later about that. Now just enjoy the satisfying click the switch makes. I love that sound so much. Now, there was no sweeping camera shot, but the door on the other side has opened, spawned a scorpion on the stairs, so let's do that, and now something cool will happen with the ceremonial ball. Whether intentional or not, it has basically turned into an elevator. So we are gonna drop down, take minor amount of damage, and we are in a particularly interesting area. So first things first, the large health pack on the altar over here. You can see that the ball is surrounded by 2 horns on which 2 statues are blowing. Now behind each statue is a depiction. I'm not sure if that's a head of a jackal or a cat. I guess thematically this should be Seth, so let's say a jackal, and on the left Horus, his head. Now, our canopic jar resembles Horus. It has a bird head, right? Kind of, yeah, you can see the beak, that's what matters. So, you cannot insert it into the back of the statue that shows the jackal head. We'll need a different canopic jar for that, alright? So, instead, we are gonna insert it where the symbol of Horus is shown. There we go. And the level exit door has opened. That will lead us to the Great Hippostyle Hall, and the canopic jar just remains here. It's kind of cute, really. Is there looking at each other. Now, this is really weird for me, because I expected, since we're going to insert it into the back of the statue, it's going to trigger one of these horns and it's going to blow some substance into the bowl over here. Thankfully, the game will not disappoint later on, but for now, it's kind of unsatisfying. But, you know, patience is a virtue, I guess. Now, if you try to swim towards the statue we observed from the grate, where we access secrets number 2 and 3, the current will prevent you from going, and even turning the corners is not really possible, I think. Maybe with patience and effort, but there's a better way. Feel free to just get out of the water over here, and you can already see that this leads to the canopic jar slots. The same thing on the other side. Because in the water over here, there is no current, and this enables us to collect the 2 boxes of shotgun shells. I'll just light a flare. By the way, sometimes I'm lighting flares even if I see where things are clearly, purely because I don't know under what lighting conditions you will be watching the video, or if for whatever reason on your device's screen it will be darker, so just to help you see what it is I'm actually doing, you know. Okay, and now we can go back, the current will take us, or we can also explore what's up here. Again, mirroring that, another entrance into the canopic jar area, the one which we actually inserted already. So there is actually nothing underneath this platform, no shotgun shells, no pickups. You can feel free to take a swim there, but there really is nothing. And mind the tunnel over here, this will actually be an entrance from, if I'm not mistaken, the Sacred Lake level. During our first visit, we'll find ourselves back in the Temple of Karnak over here. So these 3 levels, the Temple of Karnak, the Great Hypostal Hall and Sacred Lake, are looping. You have to go from temple to the hall, to the lake, to the temple, to the hall, to the lake, to completely new level, or keep coming back to the temple and for the stuff that you might have missed, right? Okay, so we are pretty much done with this area, and another little crawl space. Unfortunately, it's not a secret, but it's a way out, you know, so you might be proud of yourself. Oh, look what I discovered, and then you realize, oh, wait a second, I was supposed to... Yeah, this is mandatory. It doesn't feel quite as such an achievement, does it? Okay, perfect. Little annoying thing is that we'll be using this sort of shortcut tunnel back twice, even later on during our second visit of the Temple of Karnak. Unfortunately, it's unavoidable. The ceremonial bowl elevator from the ceremony hall unfortunately doesn't go up ever again, so yeah, this is kind of a necessary evil. Saying that, I believe that's it for this level. We have found all items, killed all enemies, and found all 4 secrets. Again, looking at the time, I'm amazed at how much they managed to fit into such a short level. Then again, honestly, I consider these 3 levels as one, basically, split into 3 instances. Okay, and this should be the right entrance of the ceremonial hall. Yep, that's it, alright. So now let me just, you know, not go over the sandy dune, but use the corner over here to get across, just to vary things a little. Okay, and now we had a very, very familiar crossroads, right? And there's the hall with the columns, and the door into the Great Hypostal Hall. So that's it, that's pretty much it for the Temple of Karnak. Let me just take a look at our stat screen. So, we have found all 4 secrets, we have found 34 out of 39 items. We will find the 5 other items in our second visit here, and we have killed 11 out of 20 enemies. 9 remaining enemies will be killed again during our revisit. They're gonna be a bit more interesting enemies as well. So, saying that, let me just make a quick save over here. There we go, and with that I will see you guys in the next level, the Great Hypostal Hall.